All right, greetings. Welcome back to Black Bear News, where everything is connected. Oh, shoot. I didn't press the go live button on Substack. Now we're live on Substack. So, just going to get right into it because I have to quit pretty much on time. John Glad, the first into the chats. And we got people coming in on Substack. We're live on YouTube, Odyssey, X, and Substack. What's up? AJ's on Substack. Cool. What up, man? How you doing? Got a lot to talk about, as usual. Again, I'll, just sorry for repeating myself over and over again. The stream is gonna stop next week. So I suggest y'all move over to Substack or Odyssey. Odyssey, though, is being a little weird because they don't have. I'm having a hard time getting the replays to. Like the replay, I have to publish the stream after it's done. But in order to do that, the replays have to show up and the replays just disappear. So only like 3 of the last 6 shows I've done on Odyssey have showed up for me to actually publish them later. So if you don't catch the live stream, well, what I'm trying to say is if you don't catch the live stream on Odyssey, you might just miss it because the replays just disappear and they go somewhere into the ether. I don't know where they go. I can't find them. I don't know what it is. Maybe if somebody is familiar with Odyssey, if they could tell me what I'm doing. Or what I can do to find the replays. All right. Show enough. Kate's here. Bulla's here. Wayne's here. Nobody, I don't know. I'm sure there's people on X. As usual, they try and just not tell me when somebody's watching as much as possible. And we'll talk about Substack a little bit as an alternative. We're going to discuss just a minute of that. But first, saw this from Go Green. Whoops. Hi. I'm back. About airplane contrails. And it's always a hotly debated subject, the contrails. Like, what do they mean? Where do they come from? What are they doing up there? I'm good, AJ. I'm good. What are they doing up there with the contrails? Aviation's dirty secret: airplane contrails are a potent cause of global warming. And they're also a cause of global cooling, which is kind of why they do, why they do them on purpose. And I'm sorry if you disagree with that, but I feel like it's pretty obvious that they're doing them on purpose. Like, I think it's pretty obvious that they're doing them on purpose. Like, it takes a lot of intentional misunderstanding and, or not even looking, are you paying attention? If you paid attention for like a couple of days when they're around, I don't see any today. Not really necessary, but if you pay attention for just like a moment, you'll understand that they're putting them up there to at the very least block the sun a little bit. And they've been doing it for a really long time. But I'm sure there's other things that they're doing with them. I don't know what they are. I'm telling you just what I see with my eyeballs and like very rough layman's interpretation of what they're doing. But the flips, it's kind of like COVID, where it's like the reality is not great, but then the conspiracy isn't great either, right? Like, and the contrails always follow the path of the sun. It is strange. And then I had somebody try and scientifically explain that one to me, and I was like, nah, dude, nah. No. Well, it's because it's warmer in front of the sun, which makes the moisture coagulate into contrails. I was like, dude, man, okay, you went, I mean, okay. So, all righty. Anyways, I'm not going to get into breaking down the science of contrails right now, just because it's just too long of a discussion. But the interesting thing is that and if you want to go on NASA's website, they say there are contrails that stay in the air for hours, even days. Right, they're talking about naturally the contrails that come out of the back of the planes. On NASA's website, they say some of these contrails last for days. They say the contrails last for hours, if not days, meaning even the naturally occurring contrails are doing something that old contrails used to not do, because the old contrails used to just disappear. Anyways, I'm not here to I don't really want to get into the debate about contrails, and you believe them or you don't, or chemtrails, I guess is what the better word for it. You believe that the thing is that, so the naturally occurring contrails, this is what Go Green is talking about. Airplane contrails are a potent cause of global warming, one that is set to triple by 2050. Net effect of these contrail clouds, he used the word clouds, contributes more to, and the thing the NASA website says, these contrails turn into cumulus clouds, They create basically saying these contrails can turn into clouds. So if they know the contrails can turn into clouds, that means they can create clouds. Whoa, poof, there's a cloud. They contribute to more atmospheric warming than all of the CO2 produced by planes since the dawn of aviation. Whoa, that's a lot of warming. So you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. So the theory is that they make the contrails. I mean, well, I don't know. One theory is that they make the contrails in order to control your mind or whatever. I'm not, okay, maybe, but like, or they, to control, to put you on a control grid. That's one theory. But the other, the rough, like, kind of working theory, which I think makes sense, is that, and it's lines up with geoengineering, which lines up with the theory of, gosh, guys, we're going to have to block the sun because global warming. Yep. And so if you create them to block the sun or solar radiation management, then you're fixing one problem in the short term, but you're creating another problem in the long term, which is why for the longest time it has been assumed that you don't want to geoengineer. The problem is, if you've already been doing it for years and years, like, it's kind of silly to debate it as if it's not happening, right? It's kind of like, it's a little crazy making, right? So like, oh, they might have to start that geoengineering soon. And like, a lot of people are like, bro, it's like, I've been seeing this since the 90s. Like every single day since the 90s. So I don't know what you're talking about. So if you do this solar radiation management, it's a bad deal in the long term because you're fixing a short-term problem with a long-term problem. And then there's a whole debate around aviation, right? And all the truth community are like, they're trying to get you to not fly. They're trying to make you feel like you don't want to fly. Okay, but the thing is what about the idea that flying is bad, period, for the environment, right? Because you burn fossil fuels. There's thousands of planes in the sky 24 hours a day burning fossil fuel. Golly gee willikers, that's got to be bad for the environment. And it is bad for the environment. I can tell you unequivocally, without a doubt, it's bad for the environment. And so, there's a lot of confusion about, like, they're trying to get you to not fly because of the Agenda 2030. But the thing is that you don't want to fly because it's bad for the environment. So what do you want to do? Again, if you just put, like, let me see, if it was not on purpose, wouldn't every plane destroy? Yes. That's another logical question, AJ. Yep. Absolutely. Sorry, I'm not really seeing the chat on the. I got to pull up the chat on Substack on the browser so that I can, like, respond to you guys. But I am saying contrails are chemtrails sometimes. Is that, sorry if that's confusing. I think contrails are, a lot of them are on purpose. I'm calling them contrails to not sound like, ooh, chemtrails, they're spraying us with this, to not try and make it sound quite as conspiratorial. But contrails are totally a thing that people see all the time. All right. And my argument is that you see them a lot of the times you see them all the time because they're making them happen. North South, what's up? Thanks for the thanks for the, what are they called again? Super chat. North South. I forgot. It's been so long. If they had not started spraying yet, I'd hate to see when they start. Yeah. Well, here's the thing. like if you just change the language around climate change and just say poison, we're poisoning the planet with all the stuff we're doing. It's a lot like, because climate change is like turns into this thing of like they made the name climate change anyways in order to confuse people. It was on purpose, and it does confuse people because people are like, ha ha ha, climate change, the climate is always changing, ha ha ha. But if you just say we're poisoning the shit out of the planet, it's kind of easy to understand that, like, oh yeah, that's totally true, right? We're poisoning the shit out of the planet. Like if you they're trying to take away your personal vehicles. Well, I don't know if how many billion personal vehicles running 24 hours a day. Is that something that you really want? Do you think that's a good thing for trees and animals and plants and people? It is not. I can tell you unequivocally, it's not good. And so it's a weird thing when I hear people say, like, I mean, I don't know if you want to believe in climate change or not, but if you absolutely don't believe that we're poisoning the absolute mess out of the planet, I feel like that's kind of a silly position to take. Oh no, it's fine. We're fine. Like that's a silly position to take. Like that's just laughably ignorant. Oh yeah, we're good. No, we're not good. It's not good. It's not a good thing. Yeah, so I don't know who bought me a coffee, but thank you. It only tells me someone. A lot of times when people buy coffees, it just says someone. So I don't know who the name is, but thank you, whoever bought me a coffee. Yeah, Substack is pretty cool, AJ. I've been on it for a while, but I haven't been using it. So I joined like a long time ago. Why do I not see the live chat here? That's annoying. For some reason, it's not showing me the chat on the browser. I joined Substack a long time ago, but I just recently just started using it. Anyways, there's a little discussion about clouds, but they're admitting that these things are not good. The conversation around contrails and chemtrails is so confusing on many levels. It'll be interesting when they actually admit that they're doing it. Well, here's the other funny thing is that there's been a couple of companies already doing it kind of like illegally, like, oh, we're just going to start, pushing stuff in the sky. And people are like, what are you doing? So I feel like they're leading up to the point where they're going to be like, oh yeah, we're doing it. And then they're going to lead up to the point where they're like, oh yeah, we've been doing it, eventually. But they're trying to tell people like, what's his name at Harvard? Keith David. They keep trying to act like they're, they're not doing it yet. And it's very controversial and we're doing tests on it and blah, 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 whatever. Okay, sure. I believe you. All right. It's Obsolete Optics and I had a little discussion today about Substack. Speaking of Substack, and he was saying like they're owned by the bad people just like every other platform, which I wouldn't, it wouldn't surprise me. They're supposed to be not censored, not algorithmically censored, not right, like they're not supposed to be like the other platforms that are pushing you down or suppressing you or censoring your speech. And as far as I can tell, they're not. But I did look up who owns Substack, and uh, more importantly, who one of their investors is, which is Mark Andreessen. And which, when I saw that, my heart sank. Mark Andreessen. If you don't know, Mark Andreessen is part of the evil council of evil. Peter Thiel and Alex Karp and all those people, and Elon Musk. Mark Andreessen is right in there. He's way up in the council of evil, and he's one of the contributors to Substack. So, not to bum everybody out on Substack right away, but like, okay, Substack seems better than Twitter, and I will continue using Substack. Oh, but then we had another. He was talking about Jessica Wildfire, who is now publishing on Ghost. So I looked up who owned Ghost, and nobody owns it. It's run by a foundation in Singapore. Singapore actually was a red flag to me. So they're owned by some kind of open foundation, blah blah blah, and I was like, the Ghost Foundation. I was like, oh, okay, that sounds cool. They're in Singapore, which I was like, all right, well, I don't know what that means. That doesn't necessarily, the fact that they're in Singapore doesn't necessarily. Yeah. But here's the thing that did really set off the red flags about Ghost, which is they run under something called an MIT license. An MIT license. And if you've been following Seven Seas and his webs, basically he thinks that anything connected with MIT is bad news. And I don't know if an MIT license, like automatically, just because it has the name MIT in it, makes it bad news. But still, those are two things to me that are like maybe not bright red flashing lights, but maybe dull yellow warning lights. Like maybe not. Just saying. So it's hard to get away from, it takes a lot of money to put sites together that get any kind of traction. And basically, anytime you get people with a lot of money together, they're doing crazy shit. That's basically it. So it's hard to get away. So I don't know. We'll see. Substack seems like it's better, but Mark Andreessen is tied to it. I don't like that. I don't like it. Yeah, MIT converts public funded research into patents for corporations like Pfizer. MIT is, a lot of terrible things come out of MIT. And they were all, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it was Yale. Where did Ted Kaczynski do his MK Ultra stuff? Or he didn't do it. He was subject of MK. Was it Yale or was it MIT? One of those schools. Mike Brock, the top 10% of America's wealthiest households are now responsible for 50% of all consumer spending. I could sure read that again. Half of the economic activity in the United States depends on the spending decisions of 1/10 of the population. Okay. This isn't a sign of a healthy economy. It's a symptom of extractive capitalism, an economic system where wealth accumulates upward so rapidly that ordinary people are being priced out of asset ownership entirely. That's absolutely true. And the proposed solution from our intellectual and capital elite is to lower taxes, deregulate financial assets, shrink government service. What have I been saying? And they have done, Epstein hung out at MIT, right? They have done a really good job of convincing people that all the socialisms that, people love are bad, and they want to like make everything a public-private partnership, or have everything run privately by corporations. And I can tell you that is a far worse outcome for everyone. They've basically taken away all the good for people stuff, and the messed up thing is that a lot of the conspiracy truth community all repeats the same bullshit that Rush Limbaugh repeats. And so I have a hard time believing that these people actually care about you. They might be genuine people, they might be real people, they might be just doing the thing they think is the right thing. But I don't care whether it's intentional or accidental stupidity, but you guys just aren't really helping people. And so like I'm trying to I'm trying not to be too harsh in my criticism, but I'm also like, I'm really over the whole like libertarian, agorist, anarchist like movement. I'm over that messaging, and I'm over kind of anybody who's in that thing, because I feel like it's controlled shit. I feel like it's a controlled op. That's just me. If you don't agree with me, I'm cool with that. You do you, I'll do me. I'm just telling you, I see that whole thing as a freaking part of the op. And I'm not into it. I'm just not into it. We need to like be doing things that are collective organization of the people to push back on power, to put it in the most simple way possible. And that means, that doesn't mean I'm endorsing changing the system from within. I'm just endorsing changing the system that we have from outside, from without, right? Like from outside of it, not from within it necessarily. Obviously, eventually you got to get somebody in there who's going to push for you. But like, you can't, like, you got to have collective organization of the people, and you have to have some kind of structure around that, and you have to have put some ideas forward, and you have to believe that you can push back on power, period. Somebody hit me up on Ko-Fi. Thank you, whoever that was. I will thank you at the end of the show, or a little bit later. I'm already just talking way too much. Let's talk. Let's hear something from Theo Wilson, who's a friend of mine, but he's always got something really awesome to say. He's talking about ICE profiting from targeting Black Americans. It's the private prison industrial complex is going ham right now, and part of what they're doing with ICE is basically just feeding the private prison pipeline. So let's hear this from Theo. Hold on.
Folks' homes in Chicago took a lot of people by surprise, and it wouldn't have had you understood what ICE really was about. They are the apprehension wing of private prison corporations, Geo Group, and Core Civic, who saw windfall profits when Trump got elected. Oh, you didn't know? Let's go into it. Literal day after election, Core Civic stock rose 29%. Geo Group stock rose 42%. because they knew what was about to happen. They knew that there would be a revival in private prisons in 2024 because that's what happened in 2016 when Trump got elected. But unlike 2016, 2024 provided $45 billion in federal funding going to ICE, and a great deal of that went to no bid contracts for CoreCivic and Geo Group, meaning they didn't have to compete in order for them to not only build new facilities, but reopen 14 defunct facilities for privately owned detention. Unlike 2016, they can now employ active hate groups with $50,000 signing bonuses. And since the 13th Amendment is still in effect, the CEO for Geo Group, J. David Donahue, and CoreCivic CEO, Damon Henninger, are technically the largest slave owners in the country. And because of all the data being gathered by this administration being weaponized by Palantir's AI-optimized technology, it can be weaponized for surgical strikes the same way it is in Israel. And because we know that they have AI-optimized information, there's no way that they believed that in a racially segregated city like Chicago, that a Latino gang like Tren de Aragua could be found in a majority black apartment complex. So in this era of strategic data collection being weaponized by a government putting boots on the ground, they knew exactly what they were doing and who they were going to hurt. I know that there's been a lot of messaging about us sitting it out, but that's going to be hard to do when ICE come break your couch. They want bodies, and they don't really care how they get them. In order to deport, you must first detain. And that's where these facilities come in. And I know that you cannot deport Black Americans, but the primary threat to Black Americans is not deportation. It's unlawful detention, property destruction, and the final D, disappearance. Listen carefully, because a lot of people miss this in the newscast about South Shore.
They asked my name and my date of birth and asked me, did I have any warrants? And I told them no, I didn't.
She says she was then handcuffed and released around 3 a.m. Fisher says she was told if anyone had any kind of warrant out for them, even if it was unrelated to immigration, they would not be released.
All they need is a delinquent warrant. And if you think that ICE is like the police, it's not. The reason is because the police are part of a tax-paid architecture that has you able to be contacted if you are detained in a facility. That's what the collect call is about. Cash bail is predatory, but at least it's accountable. With ICE, you could get detained on a warrant and technically never be seen again without the ability for you to call or be called. And if you don't believe me, ask the 1,200 missing people from Alligator Alcatraz. That's right. We can't ask them because we don't know where they are. They're not going to Memphis and Jackson and Chicago to find Latinos. Forget the narrative. Look at the numbers. The prison for profit model was based on 90s crime projections, but as we all know, crime has been falling. So them getting these contracts is a revival for the people who profit from body snatching. This is a whole new beast, and we are in a whole new ball game. And the most powerful weapon that you could ever have is an accurate assessment of the situation. So share this video out to somebody who needs to be broken out of their narrative and start facing the truth about these numbers and who profits.
Yep. I mean, all this is made up. All that, DC is crime ridden and Chicago is crime. I mean, yeah, there's crime, but it's not like like you said, crime rates have been falling, if anything. And there are problem like areas, but for the most part, these cities are, completely freaking peaceful. Same with Portland. It's there's no, emergency. They're just creating an emergency out of basically thin air. They started with immigration. Then then they move to crime, and then they're moving to Antifa or anybody who's on the left. It's freaking wild. Sorry, I'm not showing this. Is there craziness in downtown Portland? I mean, I haven't seen it. I mean, I see people protesting. That's not craziness. That's called a protest. But hey, if you thought Obama basically jackbooted everybody out of the Occupy encampments, if you guys remember that. Those were peaceful protests. And they were like, well, yeah, you're not going to do that anymore. How about a baton to the head? There wasn't, I mean, this is crazier because it's involving like the military, obviously. And this is strategic. And this is part of an overall plan to like, I'm just, I'm really worried that they're going to do some kind of false flag mess. Something major is going to pop off. I don't know what it is. Something huge is going to pop off. And then, the military is already there, stationed in all these cities. And what do you know? We have martial law now. We gotta do martial law because everybody's like really scared. Everybody's really scared for their safety. We got to do martial law, right? Like that's how it's going to go down. That's how it's going to go down. I'll play this one first, and then I'll play the other one. So, I meant to play this other one first, but this is so. Yeah, saying stuff on social media is probably not as good as organizing or just getting out there and putting yourself in front of what's going on. But it is helpful. And as I always say, we are the focus group. So say what you got to say on social media. You got to say what you got to say on social media because we are the focus group and they understand completely like how far they can push things, right? If the majority of voices are like, hell no, they understand we got to walk back a little bit, right? Now it's not, saying stuff on social media isn't necessarily going to move, it might keep them from pushing in as quickly. It's not going to keep them from pushing in. So we're going to have to do more than that. But this is a really good example of why speaking up on social media is important because we are a focus group. We are the focus group.
The next time someone tells you that posting about Palestine doesn't do anything, show them this.
We have to fight with the weapons that apply to the battlefields in which we're engaged. And the most important ones are on social media.
And then show them this.
Israel is paying upwards of $7,000 to influencers per post to push their Zionist propaganda.
And this.
The number of Americans who view Israel negatively has skyrocketed since 2022.
See, the one thing that oppressors want to control more than land and money and resources and governments is the narrative. Because without controlling the narrative, they cannot maintain the control of the rest of it.
There you go.
The next time someone tells you that posting about Palestine.
And what are they trying to do to control the narrative is flood the zone with bots and fake accounts that are like, yeah, Trump, this is what I voted for. Yeah, you go. I'm sure some of those people are real, but I can guarantee you half of those people aren't. All the sock puppet Israel accounts and the Trump accounts, like half of those things aren't even things, aren't real things. So, and they know that. That's the thing. They know what percentage of the things out there are fake and real. You don't know. You just got to assume that a lot of it is fake. They still have not sworn in Gravalia from Texas. I think she's from Texas. Is she from Texas or Arizona? Adelita? This is two senators trying to ask Mike Johnson why she hasn't been sworn in yet.
Yeah, reopen the government so we get back to work.
I mean, but this excuse just keeps on moving.
Yeah,
no, it's not great if you want representation.
Not last week.
No,
There's
was
750.
Wait, let me answer the question. We're happy that she got elected. She's filling her father's seat. That's fantastic. We have a long tradition here and a process of how we administer the oath to a member. You know, you served here for a while. We're going to do that as soon as we get back to work, but we need the lights turned back on, so we encourage both of you to go open the government.
Didn't we
so
do
can
that
get
when the
everybody back to
Virginia
regular
Republican swore the person in
No,
under the same circumstance?
the exception is there were 2 Floridians who were elected in a special election. This happened a couple months back. They were here on a day, they had their families here, they had a scheduled day for the oath of office, and the House was called out of session that day. They had all their family and friends here, so we went ahead and went through the process. And
with all due
let me
respect,
finish. Wait, let me answer the question if you're going to ask it. And so that was the exception we did because the family was here. Ms. Grijalva has not yet had a scheduled date because she was elected after the House was out of session. So I am anxious to administer the oath to her.
How much is this
as soon
actually?
as you guys
just
vote
don't
to
want
open the
her to be
government.
on the Epstein. You don't want her to be on the Epstein discharge. How much?
It's totally absurd. You guys
no,
are experts at red herrings and
moving
distractions.
along.
No, not. There's nothing to do with Epstein. The House Oversight Committee is working on the Epstein files right now, releasing 34,000 pages and more on the way.
You know she's key to that discharge
Let me finish. The House
You
Oversight
just
Committee.
keep coming up with excuses. This is an excuse so she doesn't sign on to that.
This is absurd.
This is the longest time the House.
Do you want me to answer the question? If you ask a question,
you're
you
not
answer.
actually answering the question. This
Okay.
entirely has to do with
Okay,
Epstein.
you see, this is a publicity stunt. Let me tell you what's happening. The House Oversight Committee is working on release of the Epstein files. There are some of the biggest bulldogs in Congress and the Republican and Democrat side who are working on that aggressively. I met with the victims before they went out and did the press conference, and the House Oversight is doing its job. Did you know, you might not, because we haven't been in session, the House Oversight has its lawyers in New York City combing through the Epstein estate files. None of that had been anticipated by discharge petitions or anything else. They have subpoenas that are being supplied, they're being followed through on by the Department of Justice. We have more subpoenas that are outstanding for big name persons, Democrats and Republicans, and there are more documents coming through. They're doing the work, they're doing it methodically, they're doing it with subpoena power, and you don't need an act of Congress for that to happen because they're already on it.
So then
and I was in the room with all of them.
Why are you blocking her then?
I'm not blocking her, I just
This
told
is the
you.
longest time that House President has been out of session. That's not in a regular office session. This is the longest time it's taken for someone to be sworn in, and it.
Okay, I'm going to stop right there. Oh man, he's so full of it. She's from Arizona, by the way. Right, Wayne the Pain. Yeah. Oh, why don't I have that? I keep forgetting to turn that. I thought I had turned that on. Sorry, I keep forgetting to turn the chats on the screen. Yeah. Oh, so this is a good video from James Lee. We talked about this guy yesterday. The guy they arrested in the Palisades fire. He has the same questions I have. He's just like, this kind of doesn't really make any sense. Okay, sure. If he was responsible for starting the fire, okay, that's one thing. But the city is responsible. They said the fire was out. They are the ones that are responsible for it after they came to put the fire out. So they do not actually, this does not absolve them of responsibility in this at all. Not on any level. Let's listen to this. In fact, it kind of puts the responsibility squarely on them around it. I mean, obviously, there's something wrong with this dude lighting a fire if he was the one that lit the fire. But that's it's actually totally separate from the actual Palisades fires.
This is the man who has just been arrested for allegedly starting the LA wildfires earlier this year. Okay, they say authorities have arrested a suspect in the Palisades fire after a 9-month investigation into the blaze that killed 12 people. Jonathan Rinderknecht, 29, is accused of starting the initial fire on New Year's Day that rekindled to become the Palisades fire days later. He was arrested Wednesday in Florida and charged with destruction of property by means of fire, which carries a minimum of 5 years in federal prison. This is the U.S. attorney saying, quote, "While we cannot undo the damage and destruction that was done, We hope his arrest and the charges against him will bring some measure of justice to the victims of this horrific tragedy. But hang on, wait a second. Didn't you just say that the fire he started happened days earlier on New Year's Day? Okay, according to this tweet posted by LA Fire, that fire on New Year's Day was supposedly fully contained. The LA deputy fire chief even stated publicly, quote, that fire was dead out. So wouldn't that mean that,
you know, this is actually bullshit. The whole arresting him and blaming the Palisades fire on him is bullshit. It's actually bullshit. It's on them, completely on them, because they said we put it out. And if they knew something was smoldering and they were aware of it, they should have been all over it when the winds picked up. Nope. I'm going to call absolute bullshit on this.
the LA Fire Department and the city of LA have been lying to us for months? You know, were they trying to cover something up here? Right, I broke this months ago showing satellite imaging of a very clear hotspot that started after the January 1st fire, who many in the community said reignited into an inferno a few days later. And also now, interestingly, the media is kind of running with this. He's a 29-year-old Biden-supporting Uber driver. Like, why is that detail relevant? Could it be that they're trying to get us to fight another culture war? Like, look at this radical liberal who loves to start fires. They also tell us that the arson, months before the blaze in July, had ChatGPT generated images of grim, dystopian images of a burning city.
This is weird.
Another nice convenient piece of evidence, one could say. So yeah, let's just forget about this tiny little detail that the LA Fire Department did not pre-deploy any engines to the Palisades ahead of the January 7th fire, despite warnings about extreme weather. Yeah, let's also not mention that since the Palisades fire, about 50% of the lots sold have been bought by corporations. Let's talk more about the radical liberal.
Yeah, the whole story is not, it just does not make sense. Nothing about this feels right to me. Like immediately my skepticism, you know, flag went up. I was like, nah. No. This is some bullshit. But what else? I was gonna say, not to mention during, right when the fires were happening, like in the couple of days after, a lot of people had videos of people, like suspicious people running around starting fires. Yeah, and so I mean, I'm not actually giving those a lot of weight, but the fact that people were showing people running around starting fire, like to pin it all on this guy, I think is somewhat strange. It just doesn't, I don't know. It doesn't, the vibrations are off on this one for sure. Here's Christy Gnome trying to paint Antifa members as super coordinated like Hamas or ISIS. The ISIS stands for Israeli Secret Intelligence Service. Anyways, just a reminder. Gnome, we are hoping we will get more and more information about the network. What network? And how we can route them out and eliminate them from existence of American. What? American? You can't. What are you talking about? Antifa is just as sophisticated as MS-13. What the hell? Okay, so actually, Tren de Aragua and MS-13 have been shown to actually be covers. Like, they were shown to be ops as much as anything else, right? Like, Bukele had a deal with Tren de Aragua, and it was, I think there's been evidence shown that Tren de Aragua and MS-13 have been allowed to operate in the United States in order to like whip up sentiment, right? For the shit that they're trying to do right now. Maybe they can route out Santa Claus too. Damn that Santa Claus. This is, but the language is freaking absolutely batshit crazy. Like that, she's talking about American citizens who just feel a different way in this way, who feel like maybe what's going on isn't correct, you know, which I don't know. That's not like feeling a different way. That's like, how about, you know, guys? No, like, and pretty much most Americans, I would say like a vast majority of Americans are like, no to all of this, left or right. I showed you like a bunch of groups of Republicans like grilling their Republican representatives about like what's going on. They're like, no, due process is actually an American thing. Like we don't support this. The right doesn't support this. The left doesn't, nobody supports this. So you're trying to make it about like, I don't know, you know, Antifa. Yeah, very sketchy, very, very sketchy.
We arrested recently in Portland was the girlfriend of one of the founders of Antifa, and that we are hoping that as we go after her, interview her, and prosecute her, we will get more and more information about the network and how we can root them out and eliminate them from the existence of American society.
Was she being
I want to
funded
thank
by
the new
Hamas?
journalists here today for telling their stories and for being able and willing to go to the streets and to cover what's happening here in America. Many times the legacy media has looked the other way, refused to tell the stories. The networks have not really focused on what this is and what damage it is doing to our country, and how this network of Antifa is just as sophisticated as MS-13, as TDA, as ISIS, as Hezbollah, as Hamas, as all of them. They are just as dangerous. They have an agenda to destroy us, just like the other terrorists we've dealt with for many, many years. And today is the day that we have a president that won't tolerate it and will stand up and fight for the American people. So thank you for being here, for being so bold, and for standing in the gap at such a time as this. It will matter. It will make a difference, and your life will be one of significance because of what you've done today. So with that, God bless you, and thank you, Mr. President.
You're completely not even real. Just making shit up. Just making shit up. Exactly. Antifa is about as organized as Teen Spirit. She is completely off her, like the whole, all of them are completely mad, like absolutely mad. Like they're hallucinating. They're basically hallucinating things into existence in order to go, oh man, we got to go get them. Cause who, and everybody's like, what, who, get who, what are you talking about? Like what? Kate, yep. Those are the hidden homeless, right? All the people in the RVs. I know. It's just I don't really understand what they're saying. By the way, I'm watching the chats on Substack and on Odyssey. If you guys want to chat over there, you know you can. I will respond to your chats over there if you want to. You don't all have to come to the YouTube. It's fine. I don't, God dang it. I don't know. It's really hard to like narcissistic gaslighting is like really freaking hard to get a handle on, like, right? Because if you respond, you make yourself look, right? You walk into the trap of being guilty, or like, if anybody knows about narcissistic gaslighting, somebody like lies right in your face and makes a bunch of shit up about you, and you're like, bro, no, like that's not what's happening. And what? How come you're so angry? I see what I see what you're all about. No, I was just okay. Anyways, right? That's the trap. It's like a trap that is really hard not to walk into. But dinosaurs, dancing dinosaurs are a pretty good way to like make it look really ridiculous. The cops are out there and you have like people in like these dinosaur suits, just all like, I saw somebody breakdancing like really badly. They're like, everybody's like, hey, we're scary, like it just makes them look like super foolish. You can chat on Substack. You can chat on Substack. You can chat on Odyssey. You can chat everywhere. Chat it up. All right, guys. Thank you to everybody who contributed to the show. I can't really whoever got me on Ko-Fi, thank you. I'll be back tomorrow, the regular time of 12 p.m. Pacific. And tune in on all the regular channels. And until next time, beware the bear.